Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this conversion optimization rate guide, you're going to learn the 5 simple phases of diagnosing where the weak parts are in your funnel. So timestamp table of contents in the description, along with some deeper dive videos to help you write and design your landing pages, as well as some copywriting formulas for the rest of your funnel as well that I'll be referencing throughout this guide. Here, we're going to just jump right into the 5 phases of your funnel and what you should be looking at each phase to see if you can improve your conversion rate, because all it takes is one little tweak for a funnel to go from a money pit to actually profitable and successful. Now, before we dive into the 5 phases, we need to make sure that we have statistical significance at each phase of our funnel, because we don't want to make decisions too early. We need at least a little bit of data before we start making decisions as to whether or not something is working. So taking a look at this diagram here are the minimum actions you need at each phase of your funnel in order to start making decisions. And we'll kick things off with your ad campaign or your content, because when it comes to your sales and lead generation process, you need people to come from somewhere. So if we're not getting any traffic to the funnel, then there's nothing to optimize. So naturally, we'll start with impressions. Now, this is going to count, or this is going to be relevant if you're running paid traffic or you're doing organic traffic or organic posts. And so what you want is at least 1,000 impressions on something before you start making decisions. Now, when it comes to your ad campaigns, if you're not getting at least 1,000 impressions, especially if you're trying YouTube ads, these are 3 things you can look at to make sure that you get to that statistical significance so you can actually move through the rest of this guide. So the very first thing you want to do, I know it's self-explanatory, but just go double check your settings. You'd be surprised how many times that I've run into accounts where there was just one silly little tweak in the settings. Like it was running on the wrong day, it had the wrong location targeting, the start and end dates weren't set up correctly, just little things like that. Or maybe your inventory type isn't correct. You're running on mobile when you wanted to run on desktop, or you're running on search partners when you just wanted to run on search. So just make sure everything is buttoned up in the setting sections, whether you're doing Google ads or Facebook ads. And then this next one's going to apply to Google and Facebook ads, and that is doubling your bid if your settings are good to go and you're just not seeing any impressions. So this doesn't mean that you have to pay that double the price for all of eternity, right? You just want to double your bid for a couple of days to see if that is the reason you're not getting impressions. Because if you find that it's actually more expensive than you thought, well, now you at least have information to make a decision, as opposed to just staring at your campaign going, where are the impressions? Where is everything? Why is it not working? So you want to make sure that you double your bid for at least a couple of days to see if that fixes things. Now, if you've gone through the first 2 and it's been over a week and you're still looking at it going, why are there no impressions on my campaign? Well, then it's most likely going to be a targeting issue. And this is where you are targeting too narrow of an audience on your platform, which means you're going to have to go a little more broad. So the best way to test this is to simply take the campaign you have, duplicate it so you have all the same settings, and then create and then switch out your audience so you're targeting a broader audience. So if you're running Google ads, let's say you're running ads here on YouTube, I see this all the time where people are targeting exact videos that they want to show up on and then getting 0 impressions and wondering why it's not working. Well, it's because it's too small of an audience. So what you want to do is, if you're targeting one video, then go ahead and try an actual in-market or affinity audience. And this is going to apply if you're doing Google display as well. If you're over on Facebook and you're not getting any impressions, then go ahead and create an audience that's at least 1 million people. And then you can start working your way down from there. And so those are 2 quick things you can do, whether you're doing Google or you're doing Facebook, in order to make sure you get to that 1,000 impression mark. Now, once you've finally gotten to that 1,000 impression mark, you're going to want to go into your campaigns and start looking at your ad group level. And at the ad group level, you need 100 clicks across one ad group in order to start making decisions. Now, if you're finding you have 1,000 impressions and then your ad group, one ad group has 50 clicks, another has 10, and then the other has 30, and one just has like 5 and 5, well, then you probably need to pause some ad groups so you can get more of your budget going towards the ad groups that seem to be getting the most clicks so you can get to that 100 mark. Because if you have a campaign that, let's say, is only running $10 a day, but you have 12 different ad groups, it's going to take you way too long to get 100 clicks on one of those ad groups and figure out what's working. So sometimes you need to remove the number of variables that you have, and that might mean you only have 1 or 2 ad groups running. But once you have that 100 clicks inside of your ad group, you want to start looking at what targeting is getting you the best click-through rate and what ad is getting you the best click-through rate. So here, hopefully you're split testing your ads so you only have 1 or 2 ads inside of each one of your ad groups so you can clearly see which ad seems to be performing better. Now, it's okay if you have 100 clicks in an ad group and each one ad has 50 clicks and the other ad has 50 clicks. It's okay if there's not 100 clicks on the individual ad. As long as there's only 2 of them and there's at least 100 clicks in your ad group, you can make a decision there. If you have a larger budget, then you can wait till you get 100 clicks on both places. But I'm just letting you know, it's okay if you have 100 clicks on your ad group level and you only have 50 clicks on each one of the ads, you can go ahead and make a decision and then move forward. And so moving forward, the next place in your funnel that you want to look is going to be your landing page. Now, when it comes to whether or not your landing page is working, you want to have at least 100 opt-ins before you start making any changes on your landing page. That's not 100 people visiting your site, that's 100 people actually entering their name and email. And so with your landing page, what you're going to want to do is actually do something called a split test. And this is where you're going to try 2 different headlines to see which headline gets you the most number of opt-ins. So most landing page softwares will allow you to do this. If your software doesn't, then you can use a free tool called Google Optimize. You can go ahead and look it up. There are tons of free tutorials on how to use it, and it's a free tool from Google that allows you to split test your landing pages. So you'll have headline A and you'll have headline B, and then the software will split your traffic between the 2, and it will let you know which page gets you the higher conversion rate or higher opt-in rate on your landing page. And that's the page that you want to go with. And then, of course, you guessed it, that becomes landing page A, and then you try another B, and then you just keep testing. Now, when it comes to your headlines, there's something very important, and that is you need to make big tests with your headlines, not small tests. So you want headline A is over here and headline B is over here. And what this is going to allow you to do is get much more quickly to the center, which is the ideal headline. And so you're going to run 100, you're going to get 100 opt-ins, you're going to find one doesn't work, and then you're going to try a different headline. You're going to get another 100 opt-ins, you're going to find, oh, this one works a little better, and then you're going to try this one, and you're going to keep making big changes, and eventually you'll get to the middle, which is the ideal, and you'll find that your improvements will be a lot bigger and greater when you have big landing page tests. Of course, big landing page tests, big headline tests. Getting ahead of myself there. So for testing your actual landing page, if you've gone through a couple headlines, you go, well, I wonder what else I could do on this page to improve it. There are 2 things you can do. The first thing you can do is do a landing page audit where you open up your landing page and you walk through it as if you were your ideal customer, and you go through asking the question whether or not each part, every single element of the landing page supports the call to action. Is anything have any sort of distraction whatsoever? Now, the obvious ones are irrelevant links anywhere other than the call to action. Another obvious one is making sure that if you have testimonials, that they actually directly relate to your product or service. If you have an about you section, does it even need to be there? And so you really want to make sure that you have the minimum amount possible in order to get someone to take the action that you want on your page. Now, in stark contrast to this, the other thing you can do is go through and test the length. So if you have a really short landing page where it's pretty much just above the fold, they can't really scroll, then something you can do is try a long form landing page here, add more information. But if you already have more information and you've gone through that audit already, then you can go ahead and try a shorter version. And so testing your headlines, making sure that everything on your landing page, whether it's long or short, supports the call to action, and testing a long form landing page versus a short form landing page is everything you need to know when it comes to optimizing your landing page. If you want to learn more about how to write headlines and how to design your landing page, I'll link up in the description and the cards to a video and playlist that actually walks you through how to create the perfect landing page. So once we have our landing page, hopefully they've entered their name and email, and now it's time for us to send them some emails, some follow-up emails. Now, this can be a really time-consuming process, so I don't recommend starting here with any of your optimizations, mostly because of the limitations of software that's out there. But all you need to do here is test your headlines. Which subject lines, I'm still saying headlines, which subject lines for your emails, which subject lines get the most opens. Now, most budget email service providers out there are actually not going to allow you to split test your emails in an automated sequence. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to write down all of the subject lines that you have in a document or a spreadsheet and run them for a week or a month, however long on average it takes you to get 100 people to go through your sequence. And then go into your automation, make notes of what your open rate and click-through rates are for each one of your emails, and then change out your subject lines, and then let it run for the same period of time, another week or two, and then you need to go back and look at your notes, what your previous subject lines were, what your stats were in terms of open rates and click-through rates, and then go ahead and look at what your new ones look like. So you're going to have to do this manually, make some notes, and then you'll be able to see, oh, well, you know, email 1 subject, the first subject line I had was good, but email 3 and 4, the new subject lines I have are better, and then you can go ahead and keep testing. So this is not going to be an exact process because the software is not going to make sure it's an even split, but it's close enough that you can make it work. Now, when it comes to your sales page, whether you're doing a written sales letter, you're doing a webinar, you're doing a video, or you're just asking people to jump on the phone with you so you can close them over a phone call, whatever the final sales process is, this is the home stretch. And this is probably going to be the last place that you can test because it's going to be the last place where you actually get to 100 conversions. And so once you have your 100 conversions, you can either start testing your shopping cart or you can start testing the first portion of your sales letter or video sales letter. So if you're doing a video sales letter, you'll want to test the first 5 to 20 minutes, preferably the first 5 to 10 minutes, because you just want to see, if you're using something like Vimeo or Wistia, what do you need to do in those first 5 to 10 minutes to get people to actually keep being engaged, because the first 5 to 10 minutes are where most people are going to drop off. And then if you have a written-based sales letter, then you're going to be testing your headline and the first couple of opening paragraphs to see what gets people to actually keep watching or keep reading. And of course, you can also use Google Analytics to see the average time people spend on these pages. It won't be exact, but it will help give you some insights as to how your changes are affecting how long people are staying on your sales page or your shopping cart page. And so that does it for the 5 different phases of the funnel and what you can optimize at each part of the funnel. Now, a quick bonus before we go is to make sure that you are testing one variable throughout this entire process. So we go ahead and take a look at this diagram. You'll see that we have multiple ads and then we have A/B tests on our landing page. Well, the problem with this approach is we're sending multiple traffic sources to one landing page and then we're split testing that landing page, and there's just too many variables here. We don't know what's working and what's not. So what you want to do is actually have a separate, not only have a separate landing page for each one of your traffic sources, but then rotate between split testing your landing page and split testing your ads. And so if you're running some split tests with your ads, you're trying to get your clicks and impressions up, then go ahead and don't split test your landing page yet. Just leave it there. Let it be a static variable. And then once you have an ad and targeting combination that's working really well, then stop testing over here and then start A/B testing your landing page and go back and forth between your A/B tests. Otherwise, you're testing 2 variables here and you're testing multiple variables over here, and you don't really know which combination is actually working. And so you could wind up having this ad and this landing page, this ad and this landing page actually work really well together, but because you have so many different variables and options going through, you might actually wind up making the wrong decision. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video, and most importantly, you know what to look for and what to start testing with your own sales process. Make sure you check out the linked up videos in the description to how to use Google Analytics, along with some deeper dives on how to optimize your landing page. I'll also link up to a YouTube ads beginner tutorial if you're still trying to figure out what traffic source to use, because YouTube ads is great for beginners. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dive marketing videos just like this one, and until the next, keep building the business you love.